What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Eric, and today we're actually going to talk Star Wars. And I used to be a massive Star Wars fan. When I was a kid, I was the biggest Star Wars fan in the galaxy. That has changed, most certainly. But I'm a big enough fan that my original YouTube channel was all about Star Wars. And then The Last Jedi came out. I thought it was utter garbage. Absolutely despised it. But you know what? That's fine. It's okay. They can rebound, right? No. Instead, things just got worse from there with the insulting of the fan base. And then this next movie that I thought was even worse, The Rise of Skywalker, which is just a catastrophe of a film in my opinion. And ultimately after that, with just some more garbage that would be coming out on Disney Plus and whatnot, the Solo movie was underwhelming, although it was better than the other two movies I mentioned. The only thing that they've ever put out that I can say I genuinely like is Rogue One. That's it. Everything else has been, in my opinion, total trash. And it turned out that all I did was rant and rant and rant about Star Wars, and I realized I wasn't a fan. It wasn't something I liked, that I was passionate about anymore. So why am I even talking about it anymore? And that's when I decided to stop. But I thought to myself, you know what? It's been 3 years since I've watched anything Star Wars. I'm over it now. And I'm able to just enjoy the original trilogy and the prequels to a certain extent. And then that's it. I just move on with my life and I watch other stuff, and I've been reviewing everything else. I started this new channel. We're doing big things here, talking music, talking movies. And I said, you know what? I put out a poll. Would y'all be interested in checking it out? If because the worst thing that can happen is it sucks and we get some fun rant videos out of it. And so y'all said yes, and here we are. And I just watched episode 1 of Obi-Wan Kenobi, expecting it to be absolute and complete trash. Expecting it to be something I would be cringing the whole time. And I would have this big, epic rant for y'all. But I gotta say, episode 1, it actually wasn't as bad as I thought. It wasn't nearly as bad as I thought, and there's a lot that I actually enjoyed about it. Now, I don't know how the rest of the series is going to go. One episode doesn't mean a whole lot. Okay, they got off to a decent start, I'll say that. And I rather enjoyed the episode. First of all, I got to give a shout out to that intro with the prequel recap. It was really cool, the music and everything. That was a good way to get, hardcore fans off on the right foot, or at least fans of the prequels and people who really despise Disney Star Wars. Boom. That was a nice way to just get us into it right away and say, oh, hell yeah, this is what I'm talking about. And it was extended. It was a nice little intro there, building up to the end of the prequels. And I really enjoyed it. And they made sure to show the part where Yoda tells Obi-Wan, to work on your skills, you will soon develop a skill to be able to communicate with the dead. In other words, Qui-Gon Jinn. And then this was hinted at later in this episode, where he actually tried to communicate with Qui-Gon Jinn. And I think it's pretty obvious Qui-Gon Jinn will be showing up, and I can't wait. There is no doubt in my mind Liam Neeson has already signed on. He's already probably shot his part. He will be in this series, in my opinion. There's no doubt about it. But anyway, the episode kicks off where Order 66 is actually still going down. I thought that was a nice touch. Then we're going to flash forward 10 years. And it was a pretty badass scene right here where the younglings are being trained and the attack comes and this Jedi is fighting them off. She eventually gets taken down. The kids run away. There was a little part, okay, the little child actors maybe weren't the best. Other than that, it was a pretty cool scene. Then we jump forward 10 years. So far, I'm like, okay, here we go. Eventually, we meet, obviously, Obi-Wan. We catch up with him. He's working like a normal job, cutting sashimi there. And it's really cool. And I think that he's great and, looks age appropriate here. 10 years have passed. And even though more than 10 years have actually passed, but because the actor, looks pretty good, I don't think they even needed CGI for him. I think he just hasn't aged too much. So it's perfect. It looks like he's aged about 8, 9, 10 years. It doesn't look like he's aged 17 years, which is how long it's been since Revenge of the Sith. And a cool scene to show that he can't really do anything when he sees the mistreatment of people. Like the guy who's clocking out, he only gets paid half or something of that nature. And he's like, hey, I got a family. And the boss is like, get the hell out of here or you get nothing. And he walks off and Obi-Wan kind of steps up like, his instinct is to say something. The guy's like, you got something to say? Obi-Wan kind of shrinks back down, clocks out, and rolls out because he can't do anything really. I mean, I guess he could try to stand up for the guy, but then he could get fired. You know, he could lose his job. He can't really bring attention to himself. He certainly can't use the Force, because then the Empire will be able to detect where he is, and can't have that. So he just has to lay low. Can't use the Force. He goes by Ben now, and that's it. But I did enjoy the interaction with the Jawa, selling the parts, a little bit of negotiations there. I'll give you 50, 75, of course, in his little language. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that whole, interaction. And then one spare Jedi that fell through the cracks is running around. I thought that was a nice touch, that he actually sees Obi-Wan, tries to talk to him. Obi-Wan, like, no, you got the wrong guy. I'm Ben now. And the Jedi knows it's Obi-Wan. He could probably sense it, much less see his face. And so he's trying to talk to Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan finally, says something like, "You want my advice? Get a normal job or live a normal life," I think he said. And it was great advice, actually. But, the Jedi are gone. It's over. We've lost. It's a deep scene right there. It really shows, how broken he is and how broken spirited he is and the whole situation of what, the aftermath of episode 3. And, by the way, the lighting and everything, it was really a dark scene, but there was just enough light there. And all of that is really good. I thought the cinematography was really good. I'm giving the positives first, as you can see. I'm not really blown away by anything, but I'm watching. I'm like, this is fine. This is pretty cool. It feels like Star Wars for the most part. Maybe not as good as obviously the original Star Wars or even the prequels, but hasn't been Disneyfied too much so far. The interactions with Uncle Owen is really cool, where obviously Uncle Owen wants him to just leave him alone. Leave us alone. He thinks that Obi-Wan doesn't really care about Luke. He just wants to use Luke to train him one day, and he just thinks it's better off just staying on the farm. And it all makes perfect sense. Then you have the scene where the two Inquisitors, Reva and the fifth brother, I think he's called, and he calls her the third sister. Pretty cool scenes, but that's where she shows her she's just out of control, right? She goes too far, as he said, and she's just very impulsive and very crazy. And they don't like that about her. And she's going to definitely have some serious connections. She's a former Jedi. I believe she trained as a Jedi at some point. And she's going to be a big part of this story, no doubt. I heard a lot of talk about her acting and everything. I think she did overact a little bit. I'm not really convinced yet one way or the other. I haven't seen enough. I'll definitely have more thoughts. I'm not afraid to say if she's terrible or not. I'm not convinced yet. I think she looks kind of intimidating. She's got a serious face. And I'll say this about this episode. It wasn't any stupid comedy. I don't think there was any. There may be a couple of little moments here with Leia, who I'm about to talk about, but she's a cute little 10-year-old girl. I mean, there's going to be some little funny moments, I would assume. But other than that, I mean, they didn't throw a bunch of dumb comedy, which you would expect. And overall, it had a pretty decent tone. Sometimes it kind of does feel like a little, I don't know what you would say, like fan fiction, kind of just some of the edits, some of the cuts, some of the acting. It looks more like people dressing up as Star Wars than actual Star Wars. And I don't know what they can do about that. Maybe it's just too crisp. Maybe it's just something about the modern, filmmaking that they just can't quite get the spirit of Star Wars. But I thought they did okay, considering it's Disney. For Disney, they did really well. But last thing, obviously, Leia, I thought the little girl was pretty good. There was some weird cuts and some weird scenes when they were chasing after her. There was a moment where the guy, big dude, right in front of Leia, and she just turns the other way. He could have easily just grabbed her. He could have easily just got her right then and there. And there was multiple opportunities. I know she's Leia. She's kind of quick. She can use the Force to an extent. But, at this point in time, it just was weird. It was just kind of awkward cuts and awkward shots. I just feel like the editing could have been better. Something could have been better about that whole sequence. But other than that, I mean, she's really adorable and she's really smart, and she does give that kind of Leia flair a little bit. Sometimes it's kind of strange because she speaks that with an intelligence way more than you'd expect from a 10-year-old. But then again, that's Leia. And the actress just did okay in the first episode. We'll see. There's more to go. And I have some questions and interesting questions of where this is going to go and how it's going to connect. Already there's some things that are happening that don't jive with episode 4. But in fact, nothing jives with episode 4 because really Obi-Wan was supposed to stay there and chill the whole time. That's really what canon was. So we're breaking canon with this whole series, but we'll just see how bad they break canon or if they can make it make some kind of sense in this series. But we'll wait and see. But so far, that's pretty much it. It wrapped up pretty interesting. I'm looking forward to episode 2. I don't really know what else there is. It was just a nice, solid episode to get things started. The only thing I will say is it's basically a rehash of episode 4 in a way. Princess Leia got kidnapped. Does that sound familiar to anybody? Princess Leia got kidnapped. Obi-Wan's going to help. Have we heard this before? This is the second time that they've actually made a film that just takes the plot of episode 4 and copy paste so far. Now things can change, the direction can change, and it could be very different. Obviously Luke also went in episode 4, and in this episode Luke is a little kid. But hey, we didn't get to see Luke too much. He was playing around here, playing ship. It was okay. It was a cool little scene there, seeing young Luke there. But look, the show didn't. This is episode 1. We also have episode 2. I'm about to check it out, and I'll review that next. But hey, I'm going to give this one a nice little 7.5 out of 10. I mean, Star Wars standards is a 10. I mean, I'm not going to give it a 9 or a 10 because I don't think it got there yet. But it potentially could. I mean, if they do the right thing in this series, we'll see. But I thought it was a good start. I was impressed. I was surprised. But yeah, a lot of the acting was a little bit questionable. A lot of it did look like fan fiction, looked like people dressing up as Star Wars characters. I haven't gotten into it yet completely, but a lot of it I really liked. So we'll see where it goes. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below of this first episode. Pleasantly surprised, I guess you could say. We'll see. Episode 2, I could be here for an epic rant. We'll wait and see. Guys, have a great day. We'll talk to you next time. Peace.